Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to play 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons for free. So if you've never played Dungeons & Dragons, you may have seen it on TV or in movies before, and you saw a lot of miniatures and dice and boards and books, and you thought that it was probably an expensive hobby to get into. That's not necessarily the case. You can get into D&D without spending a dollar. And here's how you do it. If you don't know any of the rules, there are rule books that the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide. Obviously, both of these cost money, but Wizards of the Coast, the makers of the Dungeons & Dragons, were nice enough to put out a free basic version of both the player's rules and the Dungeon Master's rules on their website. I'll put a link right here and one down in the description below. So if you go there, if you're just going to be a player, don't worry about the Dungeon Master's rule set. Just worry about the player's one. Follow that along, get a basic understanding of the rules of the game, and that'll also teach you how to make a character. So when you make a character, people generally fill them out on these character sheets. Now you can print out one and fill it out with pen and paper, or you can do a digital one and fill it out, or you can use the website dndbeyond.com. I'll put a link to that also. That is an awesome tool because it can walk you through the character creation process. You can create a couple basic characters in there, and then that also can keep track of your spells too. So if you're a spellcaster, that's a nice tool that has all the spells on there. You'll have to buy the other books to get all the spells, but they have the basic spell list in that for you. You can also use apps and things like that to keep track of your character sheet. And then if you still don't know how to make a character after reading through those basic rules, Wizards of the Coast has a level 1 through 10 of every class in the game on their website for you to just go and download. So say you're joining a game late and you want to be, they're all level 4, and you want to be a barbarian. You go, click on barbarian, scroll down, find level 4, print it out, and then you're good. You've got your character. Next, speaking of joining a campaign, you need campaigns to join. So in Dungeons & Dragons, the Dungeon Master typically has they've got a story or a campaign that they're telling and walking you through. Wizards of the Coast makes these published modules that are long-running campaigns that can last a couple months to over a year, which are great, but cost money. So if you're looking to do something free, there's a couple different things. You can do Homebrew, where you make your own story. The Dungeon Master comes up with their own story, their own setting, background, everything, and they make everything up. If you're not creative enough, like me, I can't make my own up. You could go to dmsguild.com. dmsguild.com, I'll put a link to that also, and get these things called one-shots, these little modules that there's a lot that are free or pay what you want, and they're only a couple sheets long, and they're stories that you can follow along and play through there. So again, the story can be free. The pay what you want, I would suggest that even if you get it and you didn't pay, if you put $0 in, didn't pay anything, if you had fun and enjoyed the campaign, I would go back and kick whatever you're comfortable paying to the writer, even if it was $1. I'm sure they'd appreciate it because it's a lot of work. Like I said, I can't make my own campaigns. Next, you probably saw plenty of dice rolling if you've ever seen any Dungeons & Dragons in TV or movies. And there are seven different dice, generally, that are used heavily in Dungeons & Dragons. There's a lot of dice rolling. But a set like this will cost you they're not that expensive, maybe $5 to $12 for a set. And then if you're going to get metal dice, they go up above 20. But you don't need to buy dice. You can there's an app for both iPhone and Android, multiple apps actually. Most of them free. I don't think I've ever seen a paid one. And there's a bunch of dice rolling apps that you put in however many dice you need to roll, click a button and it'll roll them for you. And then Wizards of the Coast also has a web-based utility that's a dice roller that you put in all of your dice, you click a button and it gives you a randomly generated dice roll. So that will cover you for your dice also. Now, I'm not sure how much you can see of this board right here, but the great game board is a big part of D&D also, so that you can keep track of your characters. So you probably have seen miniatures like this that represent the bad guy and the good guys in the game, but you don't need these. So if you're playing Dungeons & Dragons, there's a couple different things you can do. One, there's something called Theater of the Mind, where the Dungeon Master will describe a scene. He'll describe where the bad guys are, where you are, where any doors, window, obstacles are. and roughly how far away you are. And then you describe to the dungeon master what you want to try to do, and he'll tell you if it's feasible enough, if you're close enough to the bad guy to hit them. And that's called Theater of the Mind. You don't need any boards or miniatures for that. So that's one way to play for free. Another is if you're set on using a board, you can do what we did the first time we started playing was we took sheets of paper with a ruler and marked out squares. And then you can tape a bunch together and then you can draw your maps on that. Or this one we laminated so that we can use a dry erase marker and draw maps and erase them. And then if you do that, if you've got some kind of makeshift board, then for miniatures, you can use anything around the house. If you've got kids, you can borrow some of the toys. You can use coins, bottle caps, candy. If you're playing with candy, if you kill a bad guy, you get to eat the Skittle. So Skittles, M&Ms, anything like that will work. After that, the last thing that could cost money for D&D, the screen you see in front of you right here, it's called a Dungeon Master screen. So this is generally to hide all of the Dungeon Master's content, his books, his notes, so that nobody's getting spoilers and peeking. But you can use anything for this. You can use folders and kind of prop them up. You can use cereal boxes and turn them on their side. There are tips on the inside of these boards that have general rules that you may need quick access to, but you can just Google DM cheat sheet on Google or DM screen cheat sheet, and you'll find dozens and dozens of pages of the best note, and you find the ones that most apply to the rules that you always need to look up. Print them out and tape them to the back of your cereal box or whatever you're using, and then that'll be your Dungeon Master screen. So that's everything you would need to play a physical game of Dungeons and Dragons, and you can do it all for free. The alternative is you could also play a digital game of Dungeons and Dragons if your friends live across the country, or if you want to just find a game with strangers. There's websites like Roll20.net and Fantasy Grounds that they have people that make these online games. You can join a game. So if it's your first time playing, maybe try to find a game that's beginner friendly, so they don't mind helping you out as much as possible. And these games, whoever's the dungeon master, they're the ones that take care of all the maps. So you don't need any of the dungeon master stuff. You don't need a campaign. You don't need the dungeon master handbook or anything like that. It also takes care of any dice rolling because it's got a dice roller built into the website. It takes care of minis because it just uses little tokens to represent your characters. It takes care of everything. All you need is to have a basic understanding of the rules so that you're not slowing the game down too much. And to do that, you just go to one of those websites I mentioned and search for a game that has openings for players on weeknights that they're generally weekly. Some might be monthly or bi-weekly. Find a game that suits your schedule. Sign up for it. I believe the Dungeon Master has to approve the players. They can't have 40 people in the game. But that's another alternative to play completely free. So with that, you guys have two options. You guys can play physical in person with a group of friends, Dungeons and Dragons completely for free, or you can go digitally and play it that way also for free.